Visiting Wellington and renewing acquaintance with friends throughout the Dominion is the world-renowned bass-baritone, Mr. Peter Dawson. And it's really grand to see you looking so hale and hearty, Mr. Dawson.
Thank you.
Well, we know that you're a real globe-trotter, but, where have you been since you last said hello to us?
Oh, I've been all up and down the length and breadth of Britain. Under the auspices of Harold Fielding, that a great impresario, the new man in London, you may say, in the concert world, who's given every other agent, I think, in London a bad headache.
Is he? Well, what artists were you associated with on your tour throughout England?
Rabbits and Landor, the duo pianists, Webster Booth and Ann Ziegler, Mark Hamburg, Irene Schara, and Sandler and his orchestra. Poor old Sandler, you know, he's dead
died,
now.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a really happy tour. It was done by air, road, and by train.
You enjoy traveling by air?
Oh, anything. It's a treat to see places from the air that you've constantly been seeing from the train or from the road.
Well, what differences did you find in England when you returned this time?
Remarkable. In the old days, traveling up the length and breadth of England, you would see, you'd go for miles, and you'd hardly see any living thing. A lot of the fields were all sort of in fallow, nothing on them. But this time, after the war, it was nothing but intensive cultivation, tremendous. Everywhere you looked, there were great crops, root crops, cereal crops. There were horses, cows, there was cattle everywhere. Every available corner was occupied, and it was quite a treat to see it. And everybody seemed to be, well, irrespective of the trials of the times, the lack of food, everybody seemed to be happy, and I didn't hear a single grumble.
Did you not?
In all my travels, no.
What living conditions like in England now?
Oh, they were very bad indeed. There were 10 pennyworth of meat was the allocation a week, and 2 pennyworth, no, not 2 pennyworth, about that. Will be more than that. 2 ounces, I should say. The difference between 2 pennyworth and 2 ounces, isn't it?
There is it.
Well, there were 2 ounces of bacon allowed a week, and supposed to get 1 egg. But that hardly ever came, only about once a month. And everything, and the great long queues of people that waited and waited and waited. But a lot of the women, they didn't mind, because it encouraged conversation. And they talked about all sorts of things, current events and so forth. And so that, I suppose, lessened the waiting time for them. And eventually they would get down to the hangman with if he was a butcher, he had the hatchet, he looked as if he'd kill you. And he, with a look on his face as much as say, well, what do you want, you liar, you know? And you wouldn't get it. You'd be lucky if you got half what you asked for. Well, then, that was simply wonderful. And, of course, if there was a commodity available and there was no queue there, the people would look and say, oh, that can't be good, and go away.
And you didn't hear any grumbling or complaining at all?
Nothing at all. And another thing, that drink, that was very scarce. Whiskey was 22 shillings a bottle. Allowance was 1 a month. If you wanted 2, another one, well, you went on the black market and paid £5 for that. Yeah, so it
You just didn't drink whiskey?
No, it didn't pay to entertain too much. You hid the bottle.
Now, what about your concerts in England? You were well received when you returned there, weren't you?
Splendid. Apparently they were waiting for me. They hadn't forgotten me, although I'd remained in Sydney throughout the war years. I thought, well, it's no use going back to England. There'd be another mouth to feed. I thought I'd remain in Australia and just do what I could to help alleviate the sufferings of our soldiers, providing them with comforts and all that sort of thing that the money we got bought. And, of course, the greatest concert, the biggest concert, I think, that I ever sang, the greatest amount of money that was taken was in the Sydney Town Hall by the licensed victualler people. They gave this concert for Food for Britain.
Yeah.
And the seats were 10 guineas each.
10 guineas each?
Yes, and 2,000 people were present. Nobody was allowed to buy any more than 2 tickets. And, of course, all the hotel keepers up and down New South Wales, they bought a couple of tickets. And although they couldn't go themselves, they sent them to their friends in Sydney.
That was a terrific concert.
Yes, it was. And there were 2,000. Well, you see, there you are. There was a £20,000 house. And the largest number of people I've ever sung to was at Haringey.
The arena.
Yes, in London. It was a speed track there, and it was a test match between Bluey Wilkinson, the champion Australian rider, and the best Americans. And Wilkinson, he won it hands down. Now, you'd be wondering what I was doing there.
I certainly am, yes.
Well, at the instigation of the Agent General for South Australia, Sir Charles McCann, I went down to sing to this multitude surrounding this arena, 83,000 people. And they all joined in with me in the choruses of Old Father Thames, On the Road to Mandalay, and I Travelled the Road. It was really remarkable. And I was in the centre of the arena there, and Gerald Moore, the great pianist and accompanist, Gerald played for me. And it was quite a difficulty we had in getting back over this track and to through the crowd. They simply mobbed us, these autograph hunters, and I thought we'd never get there until, of course, the police, they formed themselves into a sort of a spearhead, and they got us through. I think I was going to lose my braces that night.
Have you found any time to make any new recordings, Mr. Dawson?
Yes. Oh, I've made many new recordings in London, and in a very old church, St. Mary Magdalene at Paddington, a very old part of London, in a very beautiful old church. And Herbert Dawson, the great organist, he played the organ for me, and we had quite an audience there, one, and that was the verger. And he quite enjoyed it, so he said.
That's about the smallest audience you've sung.
Yes, and the kids outside, they were the worst, you know. We had the recording van outside the church in the street. And these wretched little kids, they came along and they shied anything. They knew what was going on. And then they started to rock the boat with a man inside, and the needle jumped off the recording plate. And, of course, there was a game then to chase all the kids out of the street. And as soon as we were inside doing it, they were back again.
There's one question I've always wanted to ask you, Mr. Dawson. Now, you sing mostly men's songs, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Now, what do the women think about those?
Oh, I think they're very intrigued. They like to hear a good solid song with a good story to it. I think so. I think women are very good judges, and they make themselves into a very good audience.
They do?
Oh, my word, yes.
And what type of songs do you best enjoy singing yourself?
Oh, well, songs of the road, the air, the sea, soldier songs, all those sort of things. Anything...
Good rousing stuff, eh?
Yes, songs with that mean something. I'm no good on love songs because I don't look it to start with.
Have you found time to do any more composing?
No, as a matter of fact, I haven't. I've been on the run so much that I haven't even had a chance even to write any letters. I got way back. Oh, I'm absolutely... it's like the boy, you know, who hadn't written to his parents for a long time, and he felt so guilty, and he said he was sorry that he hadn't written for such a long time, and so and so, and he sent his love, and a little postscript he said, and give my love to Auntie Ella, if she's still alive.
Where are you going from New Zealand, Mr. Dawson?
Back to Australia, and then from Australia, I hope to pick up a ship almost at the end of November back to London.
Back to London.
Don't you wish you were coming with me?
Well, I mustn't say that. I suppose you're very glad to be back in Wellington, are you? We're very glad to have you.
Oh, indeed, yes. Meeting all my old friends again. My Jove, it's really wonderful. Yes, and they say, oh, my word, some of them I'm very glad because time must hang heavy here because sometimes they say, let me see, it must be 5 or 6 years since you were here, Peter. It's only 3.
Only 3 years.
Only 3 years.
Well, I must say that you're looking very, very fit and well, Mr. Dawson, and everybody here in New Zealand is terribly glad that you're back, and we're looking forward very eagerly to hearing your concerts.
Thank you very much.
When I was very young, I dreamed of battle-mented castles, of princes witches, sides of beef, and poor good father's vessels. My picture books were fairy doors that opened wide their portals and bid me enter without fear and mix with Grimm's immortals. Unwittingly I grew and grew, and as I reached the ages, the portals shrunk, the gates were closed, I lost the magic pages. And now thought I, the time is gone, I am off and stage. I'll be a millionaire or more, at least I will be great. I learned to live, I learned to love the world of men about me. I seek no more the empty gain, let fortune go without me. For wealth and fame are worthless things, whose servants are not after. But hate and malice, fear and dread, with nothing to come hereafter. I rest content, for I have much to cherish. My dreams are real as fine spun gold, and never can they perish. And while I plan to make them real, it seems the great Redeemer has read each thought, has read each dream. Smiles upon a dreamer.
The period 1951 to 1954 was one of no respite for the vigorous baritone, whose workload ranged from engagements in capital cities to appearances in the backblocks of the rural districts. Dawson was never concerned at the venues where he worked, or the status of the engagement. He always gave of his best. He was the true professional and knew no other way.
Tis of a wild colonial boy, Jack Doolan was his name. Of poor but honest parents, he was born in Castlemaine. He was his father's brightest hope, his mother's pride and joy, and dearly did his parents love the wild colonial boy. He was scarcely 16 years of age when he left his father's home, and through a strange sunny clime a bush ranger did roam. He robbed the wealthy squatters, their stocks he did destroy, and a terror to the rich men was the wild colonial boy. Then come on, my hearties, we'll roam the mountains high. Together we will plunder, together we will die. We'll wander over valleys and gallop over plains, for we scorn to live in slavery, bound down with iron chains. One day as he was riding the mountainside along, I listened to the little birds, their pleasant laughing song. 3 mounted troopers met him, Kelly, Davis, and Fitzroy, and thought that they would capture him, the wild colonial boy. Surrender now, Jack Doolan, you'll see there's 3 to 1. Surrender now, Jack Doolan, you daring highwayman. He drew a pistol from his belt and waved that little toy. I'll fight but won't surrender, said the wild colonial boy. He fired a trooper Kelly and brought him to the ground, and in return from Davis received a mortal wound. And shattered through the jaws he lay fighting at Fitzroy, and that's the way they captured him, the wild colonial boy. Then come on, my hearties, we'll roam the mountains high. Together we will plunder, together we will die. We'll wander over valleys and gallop over plains, for we're scorn to live in slavery, bound down with iron chains.
Radio continued to be one of his main means of communication, with guest spot appearances on the ABC in programs such as Artist, Dance Band and Me, and, of course, the well-known The Village Glee Club.
From the outback to the ocean, where the southern stars hang low, every blue gum nods a welcome, every sea breeze says hello. From the summer to the springtime, as the rivers ebb and flow, there's a high cross in the heavens, watching over us below. See the swagmen waltzing Matilda and sing of Gundagai, or shoot the curling breakers underneath a clear blue sky. We could wander far horizons, that wherever we may go, from the outback to the ocean, it's the fairest land I know. A sprig of golden wattle, a water tower braid, a kangaroo, koala bear, the busy shearing shed. They paint a vivid picture of a paradise on earth. Australia is most beautiful, the country of my birth. From the outback to the ocean, where the southern stars hang low, every blue gum nods a welcome, every sea breeze says hello. From the summer to the springtime, as the rivers ebb and flow, there's a high cross in the heavens, watching over us below. See the swagman waltzing Matilda and sing of Gundagai, or shoot the curling breakers underneath a clear blue sky. We could wander far horizons, that wherever we may go, from the outback to the ocean, it's the fairest land I know.
One can only wonder why that recording, and the previous one of The Wild Colonial Boy, remained unpublished. Now, these were test pressings made in Sydney during 1951.
Come along, little laddie, come aboard with me, for I've a ship and we're going to sea. Yes, you and me, way out to sea. We'll weigh anchor on the early tide, set our compass and away we'll glide, and away we'll glide on wind and tide, out to the China Sea. It's a China Sea for you and me, and that is a place where a man should be. He'd make a fortune in rice and tea, in rice and tea, out in the China Sea. We'll meet Columbus on a voyage of dreams, have Drake and Nelson on her beams, and weave great knots in chocolate creams, in chocolate creams, on our way to the China Sea. There'll be coolies jogging here and there, and rickshaw men with their great long hair, and flags and banners everywhere, yes, everywhere, out in the China Sea. There'll be pirates, bandits, thrills galore, with cutthroats lurking in every door, and popguns popping in every store, in every store, out in the China Sea. Blue Peter at the foremast there to say, the vessel is due to sail today. Close your hatches, little fellas, we're underway, bound for the China
China Sea, recorded in Sydney, probably late 1953, for the Prestaphone Company, with the Charles Camilleri Quartet.
Peter decided to embark on a final nostalgic farewell tour of England. He arrived at Tilbury on December the 10th, 1954. His proposed swan song produced triumphs in a new medium, television. The BBC starred him in Music for You, which went to air on April the 25th. Of his performance, the Daily Express critic wrote,
"It took 73-year-old Australian baritone Peter Dawson to put life and vitality into last night's TV program Music for You. Until he appeared, it had threatened to die of palsy, brought on by a series of Old English songs presented against a phony Old English background. On came Peter Dawson with the floral dance and the inevitable Road to Mandalay. Straightforward, bustling, honest-to-goodness stuff, bringing red blood to what, until then, had been an anemic program."
Television came late to Australia, commencing on the 16th of September 1956. Peter Dawson made his local TV debut in an Australia Day show for the ABC on January the 29th, 1957. Following a further series of Peter Dawson Sings Again for ABC Radio, he was asked to appear in an ABC television program celebrating 25 years of radio history, 1932 to 1957. We now hear the soundtrack of that telecast.
Well, Peter Dawson, I am pleased to see you again.
Glad to see you.
And I have very, very happy recollections of the times when I had the honour of putting you on the air, many, many times, both here and out at public concerts.
Yes.
It's nice to be back in the old place again, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Oh, it hasn't changed much, has it?
No, not a bit.
Well, they tell me you're going to sing tonight.
Yes.
And they've given me the privilege of once again announcing you on a program.
Oh, that's very nice.
And what are you going to sing?
The Arrow and the Song.
The Arrow and the Song.
Yes.
It's one of your great repertoire songs and a beautiful song. And what particularly made you choose that song?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure it's the one I've loved all through the years. The beautiful
Yes.
words.
You
yes.
sang it, I believe, on a special occasion.
Only on special occasions I'll
Yes.
bring that one out.
I see. Well,
And
we're
this
going to
is-
hear something special.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I have very great pleasure in introducing Peter Dawson, who will sing
The Arrow and the Song.
I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I know not where. For so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow it. The sight could not follow it in its flight. I breathed a song into the air. It fell to earth, I know not where. For who had sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of a song? For who has sight so keen and so strong that it can follow the flight of a song? Long, long afterward in an oak, I found the arrow still unbroke, and the song from beginning to end I found again in the heart of a friend. And the song from beginning to end I found again in the heart of a friend. I found again, I found again, I found again in the heart of a friend.
1958 arrived, and at the age of 76, Peter gave his last public performances in April in Adelaide. They included radio appearances such as the one we are now about to hear, which is probably from an ABC program entitled The Composer Speaks, broadcast from Adelaide on the 30th of April, with Rhonda Geerling at the piano. The vitality and richness of the voice belies the health difficulties he was experiencing. This recording was made exactly 60 years after Dawson commenced accepting professional engagements in his home city, and is the very last recording we have of his voice.
Mr. Dawson, could you tell us, first of all, did you start writing songs from the beginning of your concert career?
Oh, no. Not until I was about 20 years of age.
And it's well known nowadays, of course, that you published them under the name of J.P. McCall. Could you tell us why that was?
Well, I thought at the time, Peter Dawson, had I given the name of Peter Dawson to all my compositions, if I was singing them on a program, it would look too bad. A song written by Peter Dawson, sung by Peter Dawson, recorded by Peter Dawson, looked too much to me like Home, Hope, Faith and Charity. So I stuck to this, thought of this J.P. McCall, and stuck to it ever since.
The name itself has no particular significance?
Oh, no, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Well, now, have your songs been written in the main with yourself in mind?
Yes, I have. But I've always kept it to the male line. I've never tried anything for soprano or contralto or even for tenor. Always for baritone.
Now, where did you choose your words in the main?
I've had thousands of lyrics sent to me, and I pick some out, and like the Quaker, I'm rather slow to move, and I get the urge, I write.
And one final question, Mr. Dawson. Are these songs mostly of the open air, would you say?
Yes, the open air, I love that. Soldiers and sailors, rather, I like those.
Well, now, how many songs are we to hear in this recital?
Only 3, unfortunately.
And you'll introduce them for us?
I will, yes.
Australia, Australia, most beautiful name, most kindly and bountiful land. I would die every death that might save her from shame, if a dark cloud should rise o'er the strand. Whatever the quarrel, whoever her foes, let them come when they will. Though the struggle be grim, 'tis Australia that knows that her children will fight while the water grows. And the water blooms over the hill, and the water blooms over the hill.
A song of a different type called My Mine of Memories.
I have discovered a mine in my mind, and it glistens with treasures untold. This mine of mine is the heart-warming kind, with its values more precious than gold. This mine of mine is as deep as the sea, and as wide as the oceans that flow. Each foot of depth is a fond memory, just as fresh as the breezes which blow. Each night and morning I find it the same, for it sparkles as fresh as the dew. For this mine of mine I have found a name, and I've called it my memories of you. Each look you gave me as you passed me by, and each little thing that you do, each word of counsel when you bid me try to give of my best just for you. These were the reasons that made me succeed when all the world seemed so blue. And all that I want now, and all that I need, is to add to my memories of you. This mine of mine makes a heaven on earth. It's the kind that has banished my cares. This mine of mine is a heart-warming kind, and it's one where I hold all its shares. To safeguard this mine I have in my mind is a something for which I must plan. This mine of mine is that wonderful kind that will last till the end of life's span. This I believe holds a promise for me, soon to find all my dreams coming true. I'll carry on, and content will be, with my mind full of memories of you. Each look you gave me as you passed me by, and each little thing that you do, each word of counsel when you bid me try to give of my best just for you. These were the reasons that made me succeed when all the world seemed so blue. And all that I want now, and all that I need, is to add to my memories of you, is to add to my memories of you.
A barrack room ballad by Rudyard Kipling. I jotted the music down roughly whilst on a train journey in England some years ago, and first sang it at a Queen's Hall Promenade concert, and much to the disgust of Mr. Henry Wood, the conductor, who openly said it was common.
We're slogging over Africa, slogging over Africa, boots, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles a day. 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boots, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boots, moving up and down again. Men go mad to watching them. There's no discharge in the war. There's no discharge in the war. Try to think of something different. Oh my God, keep me from going lunatic. Boots, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Oh, count the bullets in the bandoliers. If your eyes drop, they will get atop of you. Boots, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't and stick out hunger, thirst and weariness, but not the chronic sight of them. Boots, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boots, moving up and down again. Men go mad to watching them. There's no discharge in the war. There's no discharge in the war. I have marched 6 weeks in hell and certify it is not by a devil's dog or anything but boots, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war.
The only singing he undertook after this was for his friends, and on special occasions such as a small party at the Journalists' Club in Sydney to celebrate his 79th birthday. Peter Dawson passed away of heart failure on Wednesday the 27th of September 1961 in his 80th year. His passing was mourned by the English-speaking world. Singing authorities and fellow artists were generous in their praise for their colleagues' contribution to world music.
As a final tribute to a truly great Australian and world-renowned artist, here is the last commercial recording made by Peter Dawson for HMV in 1955. He was 73 at the time. It was one of the very first stereo recordings made in England and celebrated 50 years of recording with that organisation. The London Symphony Orchestra is conducted by Charles Mackerras, and may we echo the thoughts of many who claimed that at the age of 73, Peter Dawson has made his finest recording.
I had written him a letter, which I had for want of better knowledge, sent to where I met him down the Lachlan years ago. He was shearing when I knew him, so I sent the letter to him, just on spec addressed as follows: Clancy of the Overflow. And an answer came directed in a writing unexpected, and I think the same was written with a thumbnail dipped in tar. 'Twas a shearing mate who wrote it, and verbatim I will quote it: Clancy's gone to Queensland rolling, and we don't know where he are. In my wild erratic fancy, visions come to me of Clancy, gone a droving down the cover, where the western drovers go. As the stock are slowly stringing, Clancy rides behind them singing. For the drover's life has pleasures that the townsfolk never know, and the bush has friends to meet him, and their kindly voices greet him. In the murmur of the breezes and the river on its bars, and he sees the vision splendid of the sunlit plains extended. And at night with all its wonder and the glory of the stars, I am sitting in my dingy little office, where a stingy ray of sunlight struggles feebly down between the houses tall, and the fetid air and gritty of the dirty, dusty city. Through the open window floating, spread his founder's oval wall. And in place of lowing cattle, I can hear the fiendish rattle of the tramways and the buses making hurry down the street, and the language uninviting of the gutter children fighting comes fitfully and faintly to ceaseless tramp of feet. And the hurrying people daunt me, and their pallid faces haunt me as they shoulder one another in their rush and nervous haste, with their eager eyes and greedy, and their stunted forms and weedy. For townfolk have no time to grow, they have no time to waste. And somehow rather fancy that I'd like to change with Clancy, like to take a turn and roaming where the seasons come and go, while he faced the round eternal of the cash book and the Jordan Old. But I doubt he'd suit the office, Clancy of the Overflow.
Peter Dawson, Australia's Ambassador of Song, was written and presented by Ken Boness and John Hutchinson. Taking part in this production were Julie Anderson and Renee Zanfeld. We acknowledge the assistance of EMI Records Australia and the National Library of Australia in the research for material for the program. Peter Dawson, Australia's Ambassador of Song, was produced for Eastern Community Broadcasters of Melbourne, ECB FM. For the program, The Melody Lingers On.